What's going on? My name is Michael and welcome to Fudge Muppet. Today we fly back into the Starfield with our operative suits on and our nimble fingers ready to pick our way into every room, computer and container possible. No contraband cache will be left unopened, no safe not broken into and no turrets not reprogrammed to fight by our side. Security is a skill that is easily accessible within the first tier of the tech tree and it is so loved and recommended all around the place. Who doesn't want to find as much juicy loot as they possibly can get their hands on as they explore every inch of the galaxy? The skill can be really cool for certain builds, so this won't be some black and white discussion of whether it's a good skill or a bad skill or something like that, but I will say that I think it's one of the most overrated, overhyped skills out there for the main reason I hear it recommended for. So I ended up investing heavily into the security skill, and as you may know, I've played Starfield for hundreds of hours, so I have plenty of experience about the rewards this skill can bring. I do think in retrospect that investing heavily into it was the wrong choice for my first playthrough, and while security is certainly worth getting for some character archetypes, it is not worth it for most builds in Starfield. There are many guides out there giving advice that is not based on extensively testing certain skills, and so there's this popular idea that the security skill is some top 5 best skill that every build just needs to get. From beginner's guide videos to articles from mainstream gaming sites, security seems to be a skill everyone strongly recommends as a must-get thing, and I have to say I disagree. And look, like many skills, security can be cool to use. I do like the new lockpicking minigame. It actually requires you to think a bit harder about what you're doing than in previous BGS games, and obviously it feels more appropriate and digital to use a digipick in a sci-fi world. After playing so much now, I personally wouldn't enjoy spending time cracking open 10 locks all in the same area, but hitting that one lock that looks juicy every now and then is enjoyable, but it's not necessarily rewarding enough from a loot perspective. There's no doubt that Bethesda have done a great job placing a lot of locked containers around the place. Seeing them all early on, I thought, wow, getting security is going to be amazing, so I can understand why the skill was pushed out early on by so many people as being such a great choice. It really seems like it should be based on all the opportunities to use it. There's loads of things to pick your way into if that's the kind of character you want to play. There are also enough computers you can hack into for various reasons, one common one being to turn on turrets and recalibrate them to take out enemies, or you could decide to reprogram and release robots and so on, but overall, most people are recommending this skill for the purposes of getting items from otherwise inaccessible containers. And there is some loot to find in containers, and sometimes it is cool or provides for a nice chunk of credits when you sell it, but believe me, it's nowhere near as profitable as you might expect it to be seeing all these locked containers all over the place. Certainly, it's not worth it enough to be some core skill choice every build should spend their skill points on, regardless of role-playing. This is not something like get 1 rank of boost pack training, because it just makes traversal so much better, more efficient and more enjoyable. So to start with, everyone can try their hand at novice locks, but you'll need to invest 1 skill point to get into advanced locks, another one for expert and another one for master. Each rank adds an extra auto attempt that can be banked, going from 2 all the way up to 5 auto attempts. At least that's what the skill description says. In reality, you unlock auto slots, which can be used to basically give you a correct answer immediately to where one set of keys should be placed. At rank 2, rings now turn blue when the correct key can be slotted in, which helps reduce guesswork, and the final rank also lets you expend a digipick to eliminate keys that aren't required to solve the puzzle. This speeds things up and can often be worth it for specific builds who do and should use security, especially if you just make a habit of buying digipicks off every vendor you visit. Notice I say specific builds here, not all builds. So if you're playing a stealth character who wants to open any door to get the drop on their enemies or sneak through a room that will keep you more hidden from sight, or if you just love the minigame so much that you would play it over and over in your spare time, even for no reward as an app on your phone, as I saw one commenter say, well then then of course you're going to invest in this skill. Or if you're role-playing as a thief and stealing things is part of the gameplay loop that immerses you as a character in the world, or you're playing a scavenger type of character, then some investment in security is of course warranted and worth it for that kind of experience. Same thing goes for playing any type of hacker build. However, if you're just getting it to access more loot because you heard someone say it's so useful for getting more credits or finding a bunch of great pieces of gear, and you don't really care about it as much from a role-playing perspective, or you don't have that urge to just scratch the itch, so to speak, and open every single locked thing in the game, or if it doesn't bother you to not access every possible room just to see what it looks like, then I would not recommend that you need the security skill. There are so many more pieces of cool gear to get from a general looting approach, from quest rewards, from shop vendors, or even from modding gear yourself if you're into that. Furthermore, it seems that the loot you get isn't necessarily based on the level of lock you opened. So when I was first playing, I was investing into security thinking, well, I've found some decent loot so far behind these novice and advanced locks, especially at low levels when you don't have many credits yet, so my chain of thought went on like, well, it's going to be even better when I can crack into all of these master locks and find the really cool stuff inside. The thing is, what you find behind a master lock isn't necessarily better than what's behind an expert lock, and what's behind an expert lock isn't always better than what's behind an advanced lock. You get the idea here. In fact, just based on my own personal experience, I can remember finding the better things behind advanced locks and expert locks, and so far, I tend to be mostly underwhelmed from the master lock rewards. I thought maybe I was just unlucky, so I went around looking at some forums to find people who have actually played extensively with the skill, and their experience seemed to line up with mine. In fact, not only did I find my best loot behind things below master lock tier, I actually found so many unrewarding things, or sometimes literally nothing, behind a master lock, which definitely isn't that fun when you've spent a while sitting there with the digipick solving the most complicated level of the puzzle available and invested multiple skill points to be able to open such locks. Obviously, again, if you love the digipick minigame a lot, then it will still be fun for you, but it's so much faster for other characters to just run through the location, killing enemies with whatever cool playstyle they've decided to implement, and then looting them for multiple 15,000 value guns or more and other pieces of expensive gear, instead of cracking into a safe for 900 credits, then spending time opening a master lock container that's got a 700 value helmet in it, then a door which opens up a room with another master container that has some ammo and a gun that you could find on any of the enemies you've been fighting. Now look, obviously it's not realistic for there to be super cool stuff in every container, and sometimes it makes sense that there is very little reward inside, and that can be part of the fun that you don't know what you're going to get. I understand that. However, when you add up the time it takes and the reward you get, plus the investment it requires, there simply aren't enough good things to offset the total cost, and it just doesn't feel worth it to sink in time for a reward you could get easier and faster in standard gameplay. By the time it takes you to find each cool item from lockpicking, for example, say a legendary rifle worth 30,000 credits, which you're only going to find on higher levels as loot scales, you may have already found 10 or 20 more things this good as normal loot in the game. It would feel a bit more worth it if Bethesda increased the amount of credits and ammo in locked containers, or made it so you're more likely to come across rare items in high-level locked weapon cases than you would in standard combat, and at the very least, I feel like there probably should almost never be legit nothing inside of a master locked container. There is an instance you may know about where you can get a pistol called the Mutineer in a room that needs you to open an advanced lock, but times like this where the security skill lets you get some specific or unique item are very rare, and I do wish there were more. In almost all cases, your favorite weapon will not be locked up somewhere, and even then, getting the capability to open advanced locks, such as the one hiding the Mutineer pistol, would only require one skill point, which isn't as big of an investment as maxing it out like many people recommend to do. Some backgrounds will even start with one rank of security and can open advanced locks with no skill investment, such as Cyber Runner, Bouncer, Industrialist, or Cyberneticist. That said, I still think you should just pick your backgrounds based purely on a role-playing angle, so investing one skill point into security can make sense and be worth it for some builds out there if you just want to dabble sometimes into novice and advanced locks. And remember, because the rewards are not necessarily correlated with the lock level, you can still have fun and get some decent loot cracking into advanced locks, be that going into locked rooms that have more loot within them, or opening up weapons cases. I will say though that generally I haven't found anything particularly cool or expensive within novice locks specifically, but outside of that, it feels random. I will admit rank 2 is nice as well to use that blue color to show you what fits and what doesn't, but again, who cares about spending a skill point for this convenience unless you want to use this skill a lot? One of the best things to lockpick your way into are contraband caches. These can contain large amounts of expensive contraband that you can sell for a nice chunk of credits, most accessibly at the Trade Authority vendor found in the Den within the Wolf system not far from Alpha Centauri. Contraband has a nice weight to value ratio, and sometimes you can find big batches altogether in one of these chests. These, to me at least, are the most fun things to find and pick your way into and steal from, but again, I wouldn't be spending skill points on all build types to open such containers. It might seem like they're crazy expensive items when you're beginning the game, especially if you find them, but later on you can loot guns like mag storms and such with a base value of 40,000 or something around that and go and sell those without needing to have invested skill points into security. So ultimately, like any good RPG, the skill choice here does come down to role-playing a particular build, which I like. The approach to looting does become slowed down and at times a bit heavy on solving the digipick puzzle if there's lots of containers all over the place, but for many people that's exactly what they'll want in their playthrough, and even though it might technically be faster to just loot 2 locations in the time it takes to loot 1 while lockpicking every single container within it, there's more than one way to play Starfield. I definitely want to clarify that the rewards from security are not bad in the sense that they make playing as a cyber runner or thief type of character not worth it. I just see it as another viable gameplay loop available to boost your immersion while playing a certain character, like someone who would want to steal things and sell them as one of their primary ways of making money. Because at the end of the day, just because there's other ways to get rich, like building an outpost and producing lots of resources to sell, that doesn't mean every build has to follow that method. A good RPG should have lots of ways to make money and progress, and some will simply be superior compared to others. Lockpicking is still a functional way to assist you in getting credits, but it's far from the best way, so don't do it unless you enjoy it or it fits the vibe of your build, who probably also wants the fun utility of hacking computers or using stealth to access strategic pathways blocked by doors. It is simply one of many gameplay loops on offer in Starfield that people may enjoy, but it's certainly not one of the top ways to get rich or get tons of cool loot. If you want to be a bounty hunter, a gunslinger, a beast hunter, a persuasive diplomat or admiral type character, a soldier, the list goes on and on, then don't buy into the hype of security as some skill you need to prioritize and dump skill points into during your playthroughs. From a pure loot perspective, as I consistently see the skill advertised as being great for, it is just not worth your time or skill points in the long run. Also, heaps of containers that are full of good stuff aren't even locked, whether that's in a location you're fighting through or in a shop, like this one in the Well in New Atlantis that has guns all over the place you can sneak and take to sell at the Trade Authority not far away. Just don't get caught. I would say the same thing about the theft skill, which allows you to pickpocket and ultimately even steal holstered weapons. I've seen people say it's some great way to get rich because some people in cities can carry like 800 or 900 credits and you can just go around taking it. For starters, most basic citizens carry around 80 credits and often just general aid items, but even those who carry 800 or 900 credits like vendors and such, going around taking it isn't really many credits in the long run to make a meaningful difference for your character. Even with the theft skill maxed, the chance to steal things can still be 90% or 80%, and you'd have to save scum if you want to go on a successful pickpocketing spree in a city if you just don't want to get caught no matter what, have your stolen gear confiscated, and pay the 500 credit fine. But again, that can be part of your role-playing, and you can totally embrace that and use it with the security skill to then just steal all the stolen stuff from the stolen items chest and go sell it, and you can keep doing this to make credits, but again, similarly to security, theft provides for a fun role-playing experience for certain characters. It's very hard to sneak up really close to enemies specifically unless you invest in concealment, and then it can still be a challenge, but if you do, taking their weapons which are holstered can render them pretty useless in combat. Then again, if you're that close, you may as well just take them out before they even have a chance to fight you. Let me know if you find a quest character or other unique NPC that has a cool gun you can steal with pickpocketing. theft also provides some cool workarounds in quests, allowing you to steal an item someone refuses to part with, or steal a keycard to get into a room or computer, and sometimes something someone refuses to give you is locked in a container, so security can help in these quest moments too. One quest in particular I can remember, I used theft to facilitate me creating a Fallout 3 Megaton level consequence event. Security also helped in this scenario in tandem with theft, but I don't wish to spoil the quest nor the outcome. But occasional options in quests are all fun role-playing related things, of course, worth it for builds interested in that approach. Overall, if security doesn't fit the theme of your build, then you're better off putting your skill points into the cooler things that will change the gameplay and are effective at helping you achieve a certain playstyle or feel that you want for your character. Perhaps you'll use boost assault training as a bounty hunter, or get intimidation as a gangster, which opens up loads of new speech options, particularly within the persuasion minigame. Thank you so much for watching. Please do ignore the call to get security purely for loot and sell reasons. I went into it thinking I was going to get rich, but I got rich without it. Let me know what skills you'd want to hear my opinion on next, and do check out my massive stealth guide, which I'll get around to pinning in the comments. If I haven't done it, it'll be on the channel as a recent video or in the description. My name is Michael, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to nerding out with you again very soon.